Hi everyone, I'm Mike.
And my name's Carl, and this is episode 4 of It's a Corepunk podcast. And yeah, well, it's episode 4 of our Heroes and Classes
Of this
series,
series,
should I
yeah.
say? Yeah. Yeah. Happy to be back. It feels like we've not done one in ages.
It it hasn't been that long, but it does feel like, at least for this series, it feels like it's been a little
Yeah,
bit of time.
we've been live streaming quite a bit,
We have,
playing some
yeah.
games. So that's been fun. We've also recently been made Corepunk content creators. So thank you for everyone who's been watching their content so far. I was going to cheer with you then. I saw you in the camera.
Yeah, we did
Yeah,
it.
woo!
It's good though. It's good. It's nice
Yeah,
to be recognised for. We've got a bit of a passion about Corepunk. It's nice that the developers have kind of gone, hey, thanks for making content for us. So
yeah.
this gives us that bit of a
Gives us
spur.
the boost that we needed. And other housekeeping. So yeah, corporate content creators, and then the other one is we're finally going to do It's a Podcast, which is going to be our series, just us two chatting around random stuff, I guess, and
Yeah.
things that we like.
Yeah, it'll be more of a kind of, I guess, an insight into who we are, I guess.
Yeah, because we'll be talking
everyone
about
knows we
personal lives.
love Corepunk and stuff, and we like, video games, but I guess there's like going to be another way of us showing you how strange I am and how cool you are, so that's going to be fun.
Well, there we go. Yeah, there's more to us than Corepunk and games, is there? I don't think so. We'll find out. Anyway.
Watch to find out.
Anyway, let's go. Bomber.
Let's go. Bomber class is the one we're going to be looking at today. Interesting. This one is kind of a bit like I think we'll see kind of like the first departure from kind of we've had a lot of generic classes, haven't we, so far? We've had
we've had
a sniper and all this kind of warlock. Yeah. Now this, and it's really interesting because we've obviously mentioned about healing classes and stuff, but this is kind of the first one that makes it quite as obvious that it's a healing class due to its title. And how it delivers that is quite interesting because obviously we've talked about the Pain Reapers and stuff, and they've been kind of sacrificing health to give health and buffs and stuff.
Yeah.
And the first one on the Bomber one, as you can see there, is
Blast
Medic. So
it's cool, that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So as you can see here, it's a gun-based delivery system, which is always interesting.
The hero design's really unique. It's the first one for an MMO that I've seen, which is just like this really stands apart from the typical fantasy.
Yes, very much so. This is more the core punk, the core steampunky side. Like even this guy here, which we'll come on to, you can see his swords have also kind of got a bit like of a fist weapon within him.
Oh,
but
yeah.
his style, it's very much like Neolithic city in the, not Neolithic. Neolithic's really old. I'm on about like neo-techno, like kind of Japan streets, Tokyo.
Yeah.
Neolithic, what am I on about? But yeah, so yeah, you're very right. This is kind of like the first we're kind of seeing of something where it's hopefully going to stand it apart from the other MMOs. So the Blast Medic, range support hero who uses grenade launchers, can wield various explosives like hand grenades or bombs. These heroes heal allies, buff them, and uses crowd controls against enemies. They can create illusions to trick their enemies.
That's cool.
Now that little last bit's pretty cool, and obviously we'll see what that is in a second. So if we do like we've done in the previous ones, we'll go down to the special abilities, and this is obviously what kind of stands them apart from the other subclasses within it. So the Blast Medic gets 3 different passive effects, which replace each other every 5 seconds. At any moment, the special ability can be activated, and the current passive effect is empowered or prolonged for 10 seconds. So you can already see here, there's a constant rolling change.
Yeah.
So the types of empowerment are as follows: outcoming healing increased by 10% and by 20% when empowered. Attack speed increased by 10% or 20% when empowered. Base attacks deal damage to an area. Additional physical damage attack power is dealt for every basic attack when empowered. So, and there's a cooldown there. So what? Without knowing too much, what are your first thoughts on that? Because
this special ability, or just this class overall so far? Is that what you're thinking?
Both, a bit of both. Yeah.
Coming out with a bang, the bomber, aren't they? The old blast, mate.
Because the thing that it's the different passive effects change every 5 seconds, so it's a constant cycle of. It's almost like there being. I don't know how it's incorporated into the lore. This, but like, what is making it change every 5 seconds? Is so it's quite an active class. If you've got to keep your eye on the passive effects that are going on to know when to then empower them, so you get the best out of it. That's going to be interesting. So let's read into it, and then it should all make a bit more sense.
I wonder if there'll be a visual effect that shows you what you're on, which passive is going at the time. Might be some sort of
like an
visual
aura,
cue.
a colour, or a colour cue. Yeah, that'd be pretty cool if it had. So the first one is the medic throws a bomb, of course, because that's what medics do. Bomb wielding maniacs. Deals magic damage and heals allies. The bomb ricochets off the targets 2 times. With every ricochet, the damage is increased and the healing effect is increased. It can be cast whilst moving. So it's one of those. We've had it in some of the other classes where if it hits an enemy, it does damage, and if it hits an ally, it does healing, which gives it versatility straight off the bat. Because obviously, if you're doing well on healing, you don't want to just be stood around, kind of waiting to heal. So the fact that you can then just throw that bomb at an enemy and it does more damage, that's nice and handy. Relatively low numbers, but obviously you remember you've got to ricochet 2 times, so you'll see those numbers creep up as well. So nice and simple, nothing too much there. Its W power is the blast medic throws a bomb to a target area. Enemies take physical damage and are blinded, so there's a status effect. The blast medic and allies who are in range of the explosion are buffed and take reduced income damage. So again, you can be, I guess, in a way, you can be quite gung-ho with, as long as you're hitting something, like within that area. Yeah. So if you've got a tank up front, you're going to be healing and doing damage.
Yeah, you just want to be causing chaos, don't you? That's what they.
Yeah, so and it's kind of got the. Go on.
No, I was just saying that's what it feels like to me. You're just a bit of a mischief player, just causing chaos in the corners.
Yeah, and typically in fights, you always want to be taking out the healer as well in a PvP. So if they're already blinding you and doing all these other things from afar, because remember these have got. I mean, they're only throwing range. We're not looking like they're launching them onto a bow, but.
I imagine they're going to be darting about. I imagine the bomber to be very quick.
Well, yeah, because you mentioned there it can be cast whilst moving, so they're not going to be a static class going heal for you and for you. They're I can imagine. They almost give off that impression like she could be on rollerblades.
Yeah, that's right.
That kind of. Yeah. I see what you're saying there. So, and then E, this is where it gets kind of. I think it got quite interesting. It creates a duplicate of itself and sends it in the target direction. When the ability is recast on the duplicate, the blast medic swaps places with the duplicate. Passing through enemies, the blast medic deals magic damage and regenerates health if it goes through allies. If there are enemies or allies between the blast medic and the duplicate whilst the blast medic is teleporting, enemies are additionally stunned and allies gain bonus speed. So you send it off to a way, and obviously I guess you'd be kind of aiming for it to go through things. Yeah. You've got that illusion, which obviously if there's another body to focus on, and then if you can switch with it within an instant, obviously you're doing damage to each thing.
Well, it's
Healing.
literally just what we were saying, wasn't it? Just moving about the battlefield nice and quick, bish, bash, bosh.
Yeah, and
chucking
also
them
buffing
grenades.
your allies to also have that movement speed.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like it feels like a pacey kind of class of just let's get moving, let's get going. Nice, I like it. The Blast Medic, so it's R skill. R. I said R really weird then. The Blast Medic, the R skill. The Blast Medic sends a drone to a target hero. The drone is active for 7 seconds. If the target is an ally, they are buffed with periodic healing. Again, movement speed, so, and all movement speed reduction effects are removed. If the target is the Blast Medic, so you can... So the first one we've kind of seen where we can actually put it on ourselves.
Yeah.
So they'll be shielded. Whilst the Blast Medic is shielded, their base attacks will slow a target. So not only are you taking less damage, you inflict slower damage. So it's all about you speeding up and slowing them down by the looks of it. And then if the target is an enemy, they'll be debuffed, taking additional magic damage alongside the damage dealt by basic attacks. Whilst the effect lasts, the target takes 10% more damage. So pretty cool. Nice little drone you can have.
It's going to be very visually pleasing, this class. There's going to be a lot going on the battlefield, isn't there? And
the explosions, I imagine, will look pretty cool. Like you say, the kind of... If there is some kind of visual effect to know what
aura,
passive debuffs going, having a drone whizzing round, having bombs.
Yeah,
it looks pretty good, and I like the idea that you can put it on yourself as well. So if you are the only healer in the little group, having that little bit of a safety net whilst you can focus on everyone else is not exactly the worst thing.
No.
That's pretty cool. And then, like I say, we've just got, if you time it right, if you wait for your empower, if you need to heal more, empower it, attack speed, empower it. And then that's the base attacks, isn't it? Interesting. For a medic, it's nice to see them do damage as well. Like I think I just mentioned that before, but quite good that you're not just resorted like other MMOs to just stand about going, I've done a great job.
Yeah.
You can actually go in and blow some stuff. So good. Yeah, I'm interested to see how they go. I didn't realise how much speed buff they have. That's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Yeah, Blast Medic. Next one's the Grenadier, which is the plasma gun that bombs and grenades deal massive explosive damage. Thanks to the R ability, they can instantly reset the cooldown on all their abilities.
Whoa.
They can also assist allies, dragging them back to help avoid attacks and knocking enemies back. So...
All right. So this is a bit of a control class, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah. But whilst dealing, obviously, a lot of damage.
Damage as well, yeah.
So, their special ability, each Grenadier's ability leaves explosive charges on an enemy which last 5 seconds, stack up to 6 times. When the Grenadier uses their special ability, the charges detonate, triggering an explosion and dealing magic damage. So for
sticky bombs everywhere. Let's go.
Every ability leaves up to 6. So they start ticking, and then you're like, kaboom! Yeah. Which is quite cool. It's nice and simple, nothing too much to worry about. That just happens. You remember to use your special ability. Happy days.
But our ability as well, we might as well talk about that now, because if that's resetting everything instantly, that's going to be great.
There you go.
For what comes up
next. The Grenadier resets. It's nice and simple. Takes half a second. At the top end, 30 seconds for an ultimate.
It's quick.
It's pretty quick. Some of the other ones we've seen 120, 180 seconds. So this is relatively quick. And it doesn't sound like it does a lot, but then when we look up with the skills up, it'll be like, well, let's go. So their Q ability, so it's magic based. The Grenadier deals magic damage and knocks enemies back, basically. When the ability is applied to an ally, they are dragged back to the Grenadier and gain increased movement speed.
Oh, that's
so.
Yeah.
It's kind of, and you can see by the art there, it's kind of like a blast, but obviously also has a traction
Tractor
effect.
beam. Yeah, look.
It's nice. I wonder how fun it would be to annoy your friends with just randomly pulling them out of the way, just for no reason. But that's probably the mischievous side of me. But yeah, if you see that kind of round of effect of an ultimate maybe coming in from one of the other classes, and you can kind of yoink them out of the way.
Yeah.
So that's really good, and it's instant cast, which you'd expect. So nice and simple, but effective, because again, damage numbers in the 200s.
It gives them that movement speed boost as well to your allies. So if you do need to get back into the fight after after you've just been saved from an ultimate, and then you're just like, right, let me get back in. You've got that boost to get back
straight back
instantly.
in.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, there's no messing around. Yeah, I can see that being used quite cleverly as well.
Yeah.
So, next one, the W skill. The Grenadier throws a grenade at a target enemy. It sticks to a target and explodes with a 2 seconds delay, dealing magic damage. Enemies caught in the blast range take 50% of the damage dealt to the primary target.
That's quite a lot,
and are
that.
slowed. Yeah. It can actually also be attached to an ally. After the explosion, all allies caught in the blast range gain bonus attack speed and bonus ability haste. So again, seems to be, we've had 2 subclasses so far with choices.
Yeah.
Again, it's putting it on your ally. Again, big damage. So if you time that, it's got a 2 second delay. And it does 50% of the damage to things caught in the blast area other than the primary. And if you're using the up to 6 stacks on that passive special ability, but actually you could probably knock someone down.
Yeah.
quite effectively with good resource management. And the final one, well, we've looked at the R, haven't we? The Grenadier throws a bomb in the target area. Enemies struck by the explosion take magic damage. If the ability hits at least one enemy, the Grenadier gets 1 charge of increased spell power for 10 seconds. The amount of charges increased by 1, and the time of the debuff refreshes if an enemy is hit again. The maximum amount of empowered charges is 5. So that's a potential to have 5 stacks of increased spell power.
For 10 seconds.
Oh no, yeah, for the buff refreshes. Yeah, amount of charges to 5, and the time of the buff refreshes. All right, so it's not going to... It could, if you got it to a second and then did it, you could effectively get around 45 seconds worth of empowerment every time, but that'll be very hard to chain up. Spell power and stuff. So it's throwing stuff, throwing bombs again, but less friendly versions. I'll be honest, this one looks interesting, but I wouldn't play it myself.
Yeah, I would. I was just about to say, this doesn't seem as fun as the Blast Medic.
No.
And it's essentially sort of the same type of mechanics, isn't it?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, and this is all offensive. I mean, there are some bonuses, like this is probably one of the first bonuses we've seen with ability haste. So that means your cast time of a spell goes quicker.
Yeah.
So that could be good for those ones maybe who've got a warlock and everything's kind of that 1 or 2 second kind of thing. Yeah. It didn't scream out. I thought it was good. I like the idea that they can just keep ticking it over and just keeping that big damage on. But yeah, it didn't scream out to me initially, personally. And then the last one, which is kind of a departure from the first 2, really. The Infiltrator.
This is sort of your rogue, is it?
Yeah, this is like your assassin. Like. Yeah, this is your rogue. Double daggers and mines can become invisible to foes for some times. Easily finish off the enemies at low health. So they've probably got that spike ability of just being able to go, bam, 500 damage. See you later. So the first melee class out of the bombers. So their special ability, dealing critical damages reduces the cooldown of the Infiltrator's abilities by 1 second. There's no cap on that. So every time you do critical damage, which I imagine, usually going off the history of assassins and that, rogues, they're all built on critical damage, getting those big hits on. So the fact that there's not a cap on that or there's a cooldown is pretty cool. Attacks and abilities that hit an enemy in their back will increase the chance of dealing... There you go. So I should have just read the next line. Increases the chance of dealing critical damage by 50%. Big buff.
Yeah,
Stand
massive.
behind him. There you go. And then all your stuff above suddenly becomes quicker to cast again. And obviously, as we know, the quicker you can cast, the more you can do more damage. So nice and simple. Q. Activating this ability, the Infiltrator becomes invisible for 7 seconds and gains bonus movement speed. The next base attack is empowered, dealing additional physical damage and silencing an enemy. So,
is that the first silencing we've seen?
I think we've had one over maybe on the Pain Reaper.
Really? Right.
But I think it's a wonderful little spell because it means if you're silenced, you can't use any of your casts.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And it doesn't say how long you're silenced for. Generally, it's never too long.
It's not like a... Still that.
But still, the fact that 7 seconds is a long time to be invisible.
Yeah.
Like if we were quiet for 7 seconds, which we won't be, if we were, it's longer than you think. It's so long.
Yeah.
So you can sneak around.
Bonus movement speed as well.
Yeah, so you can sneak around and then you can get behind them. You're already doing more damage and silencing them. Yeah. So like I say, up here, you're nearly at the 300s. If that's a crit, it's going to be nearly, 600 damage potentially. And you silence them. So great to, if you time that right, there's only 2 people over there. Bam, assassin Infiltrator appears.
Yeah.
See you later. Sayonara. W, the Infiltrator throws a mine at its target location. The mine instantly detonates if an enemy is standing in the place of its landing or if they pass by within 3 meters from the active mine. Enemies caught in the blast range are also stunned for 2 seconds. There is a 1 second delay upon it landing and becomes invisible for the next 50 seconds. So you can either do it whilst it's in straight up to the enemy if you're in battle, or you could place it. And 50 seconds is a long time, you can have that just waiting. If you could, what I thought of is if you're fighting in an area, you put it on an escape route. Rather than waiting for them to come in, if you put it on a way that they may run away, because if you're going to do damage and also stun them for 2 seconds, obviously they're running away because they're going to be close to death. You either finish them off or they've got stun damage, and then you can jump on that.
Use it with your Q ability. You can go invisible, go sneak around, plant the mine, keep that invisible, sneak back.
Yeah, so that 1 second is where you could potentially see it, but if you're in the midst of a battle, you're not going to be looking for... I can't imagine it being huge, in terms of what it visually looks like on the screen. And then when it detonates, it's magic damage, 2 meter range, slow, all targets damaged by the ability. Only 1 mine can be active at a time, but it's a pretty good one. To arguably 15-second cooldown. Again, we're in the 200s for the damage, and it's everyone within a 2 meter radius, so it's not a single target. I like this so far. I'll be honest.
Definitely better than the last one.
I'd agree. And then their E is their satchel of grenades in a target direction. All enemies in the area of effect take magic damage. A zone created after the explosion slows enemies by 30%.
I love that it's a satchel. Just absolutely chuck that into battle.
Chuck the bag, yeah. And it's great that. Yeah, so it's cool. Not like I don't know, It's
not a cluster. I just like that it's not like a cluster
it's
grenade.
It's just like a satchel. In my bag. My little... Take that.
Quality.
Nice that it slows things down. So again, it's kind of got a bit more control. If you've got a mine over here and you're slowing here, you're pushing them into that kill zone. Nice and simple. Bigger range, less damage, but still a bigger range. Nice and simple. You can easily combo that. I like it. And then the R skill is the Infiltrator jumps to a target area, deals physical damage to all enemies in the place of their landing. If the target enemy is another player's hero and their hero is less than 20%, the ability instantly kills them, and the ability fully recharges if an enemy was killed. You heard it right. 20%, less than 20% of someone's health. You land on them with this skill. Not only does it instantly come back, you just kill that person.
It's nuts, that, isn't it? How hard is that going to be able to land? It must be.
I think it's probably going to have a good.
If you time that right with someone though, and you get stuck, with who was it? Was it the Pain Reaper who had like a thing that could ground people? Yeah, the prison. Yeah, if you have that and then you use this, then bang, they're out, gone.
If you just use their mine, they hit their mine and stunned for 2 seconds.
Yeah.
If it hasn't killed them, it's gonna.
Yeah.
It's exactly what this class is. And I was so excited to see this because so many other Infiltrator assassin classes in game steer away from instant kills, basically.
Yeah.
It's still getting them down to that last sliver of health. And I like that. Like, I think you've nailed it on the head that it's going to be hard to pull this off. This isn't going to be just right, okay, let's go. But the reward, could you imagine that satisfaction?
It'd be so
just
hype.
Like coming in with
hype.
Dual daggers. Yeah.
It's what I was about to say about this, what we've just told, because we've absolutely blasted through this episode and the bomber class, it feels like. But it feels like a hero that is going to be easy to pick up at first, but hard to master.
Difficult,
and that ability there just shows it. So because we've just gone through and each spell and seemed so easy to use and easy to understand then, but
there's intricacies to it all. Yeah, massively. And I like that. I wonder, I mean, this is just us surmising here, but can you dictate if you hit the back of an enemy with this? Like, I mean, it doesn't matter, they're dying, so I guess it doesn't really matter, but...
I guess if they're looking the wrong way.
Because
would that mean it hit their back, it would increase the chance of dealing critical damage? So then could you get them an instant kill from higher up if you did hit higher up?
That's what I'm trying to say, because obviously this is if it's 20% or less, but if it's more, you're still doing 200 up to 350.
Yeah.
Now, if it can still register whether you're going into the back of an enemy, you could, in theory, still kill them from a higher level just on sheer damage numbers.
Yeah.
Very cool. Really, I thought it was so cool. And I, like I say, so many other games, I guess, for the way they've balanced and structured their games, shy away from such quite a scary skill, I guess. Obviously, there's millions of ways to negate it, but there's that incentive because they are infiltrators, they're assassins. That's what they're trained to do.
Some people will master it. That's it. Some people will master it.
And I know I would love to. Bet you I don't though. Yeah, so it's an interesting class. Like we said at the top of the episode, like aesthetically different. The way they deliver healing's the first time I've seen a kind of gun, grenade, bomb based healing class. I think personally that kind of Grenadier, you touched on it. Interesting still, like throwing stuff down on the ground, and that is interesting. To quite similar to the only thing that differentiates it is this is a grenade launcher to me.
Yeah.
And the Grenadier has a plasma gun.
Yeah.
So the base attack is going to be a plasma gun rather than a grenade. But yeah, that Infiltrator looks sick.
I was just looking then at the characters there. Again, we've got that sort of liquid or whatever resource we keep mentioning, but we don't on the other one, and that's the first character we've not seen it somewhere incorporated.
That is very well observed. I did not notice that.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's not. It's not in his.
It's not in the blades or anything. So I don't know now.
Not.
Like that. The mystery of this infusement.
Well, there we go.
Do you reckon it is anything, or do you reckon it's just coloured lights? Do you reckon it is?
No, I'm convinced it's something. It's got to be. It was in that trailer. It was in that tractor. It's a source of some sort of energy, but
if you don't know what we're talking about, check out our character customization video because we talk about this a bit more in detail there and our ideas of what it could be,
how it's incorporated into the game.
Yeah,
but maybe that's what makes them so deadly is because they're pure skill. Do you know what I mean? Like they're just focused on killing. They don't need enhancements. They're just cold-blooded. He's wearing a hockey mask, for God's sake.
Sick.
Yeah, sick. That's the bomber.
Yeah, good fun. Absolutely flew by that. Can't believe it.
Yeah, nice and simple. But like you say, easy to pick up.
Hard to master.
Difficult to master. Yeah, because pulling off those 20% things are just going to be something. But we'll see it. Hopefully, we'll see it in the beta when the beta comes out.
Yeah, there's supposed to be hopefully some news. We're coming up to September. They said in the last video that August through September that we'd start getting some stuff.
Yeah. So we're getting there. It can only be 4 weeks at the most.
Yeah.
Very good.
Thanks for watching so far. Mike recently put out another 101 video regarding MMORPG stats and the terminology used, this one was regarding
attributes, primary, secondary attributes. So if you've seen a few things like attack speed and ability haste, we go into detail about what those are for your character.
So find that on the channel, and we'll see you on the next video.
Will do.
Bye.
Bye.